Chapter 3 of Battle for the Stars by Edmond Hamilton. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Battle for the Stars. Chapter 3. The universe was swallowed up in golden light, in racing, streaming tides of luminous dust. Like an undersea ship of old, the star-song raced with the gleaming currents and burst through denser, darker deeps, where the stars were faint and far away, to leap once more into a glory of wild light where the drowned suns burned like torches in a mist. And the voice in the calc room rose to an unhuman crying as the computer strained to take in the overwhelming surge of data from defensive radar, analyze it, and send imperative commands to the control relays. It had almost a sound of insane music in it, that voice, and the star-song danced to it, whirling and swaying between the fragments of the drift that threatened her with instant destruction if she faltered for a fraction of a second. Kirk, half-dazed, clung to his padded chair and gasped for breath and felt and listened. The same illusion gripped him now that had mastered him before when forced to run a cloud, the feeling that the suns and star worlds were all gone, that he was enwrapped in the primal fire mists of creation. Mighty tides seemed to bear the ship forward. Everything was a boil and whirl of light. Mill-race currents seemed to rush them endlessly through infinity, with all space and time cancelled out. He wondered briefly once how the Orionids were doing, and then forgot them. The agony, the intoxication, the godlike joy, and the terror were far too great to admit any petty worries about anything human. Then, with almost shocking abruptness, they broke into clear space, and the cloud was behind them. Like men enchanted waking from a dream, Kirk and Garstang shook themselves and stood erect again, and the voice of the star-song was stilled and human voices spoke once more. And human problems were still with them. Somewhat farther astern now, but still doggedly following, 3 tiny flecks of darkness came after them out of the cloud. Kirk went into the comm room and made contact with his squadron far ahead. He gave crisp orders, and then rejoined Garstang on the bridge. "Larned's on his way," he said. "Can you keep clear?" "I can," said Garstang, and ordered full power. He had nothing between him and the Pleiades now but light years of elbow room, and he took full advantage of it. The Orion cruisers apparently had intercepted Kirk's message and made a frantic last attempt to overhaul him. When that proved impossible, and their trial shots fell so far short that it was obvious the range could not be made before the star-song reached the point of convergence with the squadron, they turned tail and ran back for the cluster. When the squadron did arrive, space was empty of everything but themselves and the distant stars. The hard, excited voice of Larned, Kirk's vice-commander, came rapidly as they joined the squadron. "So there is an Orionid base in there. By God, we'll soon—" "No," Kirk cut in. "There was no base in there. There was a trap for me, only I still don't know just why they set it." He went to the comm room and set up a message on the coding machine. Top secret to Ferdius at Vega, briefly detailing his encounter with Tonser. "Am unable to explain interest in Earth, and your plans concerning. Suggest attempt to distract from some other objective. Await instructions, Kirk." In a remarkably short time the answer came back. "Report Vega at once with full squadron." And it added, "Unfortunately, no distraction. Ferdius." Looking at the cryptic tape, Kirk had an uneasy feeling that he had, all unknowingly, stepped over one of those thresholds into a new phase of existence, where nothing was going to be quite the same as it had been ever again. He had once more that premonition that the pace, the tempo of the great game for suns was about to step up still faster. He said nothing of that to Garstang or the others. To them, the unexpected recall to home base meant an unlooked-for leave. And to him it would mean returning to Lilland sooner than he had hoped. But even that could not quite banish his uneasiness. The squadron wheeled in tight formation and set its course toward the great blue-white sun that burned in Lyra, capital of a mighty sector that was in everything but name an empire of stars. When they made their worldfall, when the squadron swept down through the bluish glare over Vega Town and landed on the spaceport, Larned came at once from his own ship. The vice commander, a blocky, brusque, and competent young man, bristled with questions. "What the devil is all this about, Kirk? Pulling us in like this?" "I haven't an idea," Kirk said, "but I'm about to find out. Call Littleton for me and tell her I'll be along soon." An air car with a uniformed driver took him across the great city. It was really two cities. The older city of graceful white towers had been built long ago by the native Vegans, Littleton's people. But then, more than a century ago, the starships had come to Vega, the first wave of explorers and colonizers from the inner galaxy. They had not been all Earthmen, even though that wave had first started from Earth. By the time they reached here, Earthmen had already mixed and mated with many other human starfolk. It was these newcomers who had built the new part of Vega Town. It was to the newer city that the air car took him, to the looming, dominating mass of Government House. A lift took him down from the roof, and he went through the corridors, a tall man with a faintly worried look on his copper-bronzed face. The efficient secretary shunted him smoothly and quickly into a room few people ever entered. It seemed a small room, to be the center of government of so many stars. For this was the center. The sectors each had their elected legislatures, but it was the governors who wielded the power. "Stop saluting, Kirk," said Ferdius. "You know you're at ease when you step in here." Ferdius came around the desk. He limped from the crash of a Class 20 long ago, but you never remembered his limp or how small a man he was. You saw only his face, and when you saw it, you knew why, at the age of 40, he was one of the 5 great governors. "Now let's have it," he said. Kirk let him have it, the full story of the trap in the cluster, and Ferdius' face got just a trifle longer. He said, finally, "You had no business going in alone, but since you got out, I'm glad you did it. For I'm sure now of what I only suspected before. In his eagerness to find out how much I know, Solar Remus has told me what I wanted to know." Kirk, frankly puzzled, said, "I just don't get it. What is Ferdius planning to do about Earth? What plans would you have about it?" Ferdius limped back to his chair and sat down, and then looked up keenly. "Kirk, you're at least half Earth blood. Tell me, how do you feel about Earth?" Kirk said, "But I've never been there. You know that. I was born in a transport off Arcturus, and have never been farther back in than Procyon. I know, but what do you think about Earth?" Kirk made a gesture. "What's there to think about? It's a third-rate planet from what I hear, important only because starflight began there. Its galactic council tried to hold all the galaxy together in one government, but of course that proved impossible. Hell, it's hard enough to hold a sector together, let alone the whole galaxy." "But Earth isn't any of the sectors, of course," said Ferdius. Kirk looked at him keenly. "Of course not. Sector governors don't touch Earth's small federal district." He stopped. He said, after a moment, "Or do they? Do they, Ferdius?" "Solar Remus would like to," said Ferdius. Kirk was astonished. "You mean he wants to take Earth into Orion's sector?" "He wants to very much indeed," said the other. "Listen, Kirk, Solar Remus' pressure on our borders lately has been only a cover-up. It's Earth he's after." "But why? That unimportant little star system? Is it so unimportant?" Ferdius' blue eyes, hot and flaring now, fascinated Kirk. "Materially, maybe it is, a worn-out, third-rate world. But psychologically, it's a very important world indeed. Think of the Earth blood mingled in all the galaxy races now. in you and in me and half the civilized peoples. Think of the feelings they have, perhaps without altogether realizing it, toward that old planet they've never seen. They know it no longer directs things. They know its council and navy are a shadowy sham. But still, it's Earth. It's the old center of things, the old heart world. Suppose one of the other governors gets Earth into his sector and speaks from it thereafter. Kirk saw it now. He realized, not for the first time, that when it came to galactic intrigue, he was a babe in arms. It would give any of the rival governors a colossal psychological advantage to make the old center of the galaxy his seat of government. Commands that came from Earth would have a psychological potency hard to withstand. "But you're not going to let Solarimus get away with it," he exclaimed. "No, Kirk, I don't want Earth, but I'm not going to let Orion Sector grab it either." He went on. "Solarimus knows I'll try to stop him. That's why he had Tonser, his right-hand man, set that little trap for you. They know I trust you. They hoped I'd have told you how I planned to block them." Kirk looked at him and then said, "How are you going to stop them?" Ferdius said, "There's a big celebration coming up on Earth soon, the 200th anniversary of the first spaceflight from Earth. It means a lot to them. Their council invited me to send an official delegation to represent Lyra Sector, so I'm sending you." Kirk stared. "Me? To Earth? But what can I do if—" Ferdius interrupted. "The 5th Squadron will go with you, to take part in the commemoration pageant, the flyover." Now Kirk began to understand. "Then, if Solarimus tries anything, the 5th will be there waiting for him?" "Exactly." Ferdius spoke the word like a wolf snap. "I know Solarimus' intentions. I know about when he plans his grab for Earth. Earth can't stop him, not with their small forces. But the 5th can." Kirk felt a bit stunned. Fighting the hidden border wars of the rival governors was one thing, but a full-fledged struggle between sectors, back there at old Earth, was quite another. It could rock the galaxy. Ferdius went on matter-of-factly. "You'll take off 5 days from now. You may be there a while, so you'll take full supply auxiliaries and transports." Kirk looked up. Transports meant the families of all personnel would accompany the squadron, and that meant Lillian would go with him. He was glad of that. "But when we get there," he said, "besides taking part in that celebration, what do we do?" Ferdius said, "Go and look up your ancestral home." "My what?" "Ancestral home. Place where the Kirks came from on Earth. I had it hunted out, and it's still standing. It's in Orville, a place near the city, New York. You go and look it up first thing." Kirk began to get it. "You'll send me orders there?" "You'll hear from me. And you'll get warning if Solarimus moves on Earth. But, Kirk, one more thing." "Yes?" "You're not to talk of this to anyone. Anyone." Kirk, as the air car took him homeward across the city, hardly saw the brilliant Vegan capital flashing by beneath. He was badly worried. A deadly, secret galactic struggle was moving toward crisis, and he was not the man to combat conspiracies. He was no good at plots and plans. But, and his jaw set hard, if Solarimus did try to grab Earth by force, there was one thing the 5th was very good at, and that was fighting. He couldn't tell Lillian about any of this, not against Ferdius' strict injunction. But at least she would be going with him this time, and that would be good news to her. He strode eagerly into the Medalloy cottage that was home to him. Its familiar rooms were cool and silent. He found Lillian waiting for him on the terrace. The blue sun was touching the hills, and the sky was flooded with a purple dusk. Lillian came toward him. She was all vegan and looked it. Her flesh showed pale as new gold, with the darker masses of her hair picking up the same tint and turning it to copper. She was dressed in the fashion of her own people, in a chiton so mistily transparent that her fine slender body seemed to be draped in a bit of the oncoming dusk itself. He held her, and then told her his news, and was surprised that it did not seem to make her happy. "To Earth?" she murmured. "Just for the space-flight anniversary? It's strange." "But this time you'll be with me," he said. "Not on the voyage. You'll ride transport, of course, but on Earth all the time I'm there." "How long will that be, Kirk?" He didn't know, and said so. Lillian's face shadowed subtly, but she had a way of silence, and it was not until later that night that she spoke of it. She said suddenly, "I shall hate it at Earth." Kirk was shocked. "But why in the world? That's ridiculous. A place you've never seen and hardly know about?" "It's your place, your people, not mine." She was not looking at him. "You'll be going home. But what will they think of me there? What will you think of me there, among your own people?" Kirk turned her around with rough and angry hands. "I'm ashamed of you. If you could even think a thing like that—" He shook her. "Listen to me. Earth is no more to me than it is to you. It's a name, a place where my grandfather 5 times removed happened to be born. I've as much blood of other worlds in me as Earth blood. And as for you—" Her eyes had tears in the corners of them now. Her mouth was soft and uncertain, like a child's. He said in a different tone, "No matter where we go, you'll be Lillian, and I love you." She came close in the circle of his arms, and she kissed him with a wild possessiveness, and her lips were bitter with those sudden tears. But Kirk felt that she was not convinced. She had the Vegan pride, and if they treated her at Earth like a freak, an alien— In the depth of his soul he cursed Solarimus and his ambitious schemes, for the worry that was in him had deepened. The danger that the Fifth was going into, the danger that would explode if that unscrupulous grab for the old planet was attempted, was not the only one. He felt now that beside that there was another, subtler danger waiting for Lillian and himself at Earth. End of Chapter 3.